Okay, I'm just going to run through my Vosteed collection. This is a Vosteed raccoon in top liner lock. This is actually the first Vosteed that I bought. I saw this recommended on a knife channel, and I really liked the idea of such a proficient EDC carry. I picked this knife up on Amazon, and that's kind of where my Vosteed collection started. And I like the raccoon so much, I ended up buying another one in that top liner lock, just a different colorway. This knife, like many of the others I chose, have the top liner lock. You can see that liner depress, and that lets the blade drop free. This has a very good detent. Definitely will stay engaged even when you're moving around with it. My card handles feels very good in the hand, very grippy. I like that the raccoons have this filler for the reverse carry clip. These do have pretty deep carry pocket clips. There are some others that have a little deeper on here, but these are very good. They are flush. You can see that the screws are kind of flush mounted in there, so it is easy to get in and out of the pocket. Just a wonderful knife. Very few screws putting this thing together. Looks like the pivot screw and the screw here houses one of the spacers back here. There's very little to no flex in the handles. Feels very good in the hand, very comfortable. I have a large hand. If I choke up on it here, actually I wear an extra large glove, so if I choke up on it, I do kind of lose the pinky a little bit. But the nice thing about this knife is, with this finger choil on the front, I can grip forward just a bit on it. Raccoon is just a superb knife. The next knife that I bought was this Vosteed Martin. Youngest child really liked this knife a lot, and this has to be probably one of the most clicky knives that I own. Just extremely tactile when you flick it. Again, thumb studs, very easy to deploy. Same with that type liner lock. Again, this is probably one of my favorite mechanisms for closing a knife. Again, with a standard liner lock, you would have to put your thumb underneath of there to close. You have your thumb in the cutting surface edge path. With the top liner lock with button actuated, you don't have to put your fingers in jeopardy. I do very much like that. I own quite a few liner lock knives, but I find that this is just an elegant solution. The Shilling Cutter was the next knife that I picked up. Really liked the blade shape on this one. This has a little different locking system. This has a Vancor lock. This button in the pivot is depressed and it lets the knife fall. It does have a little bit of a raised area around there so that you can't accidentally deploy that or push it in while it's in your pocket. Thumb studs, again, has a back flipper and a front flipper. So there's lots of different methods of deployment, and of course, with the Vancor lock, you can always just, press that and deploy the knife that way. Pretty versatile. Very interesting blade shape. Again, this does let you choke up on it, pretty high, and it is comfortable to get your finger into this little space right here. There's some jimping here and here. Allows you to get a good grip on the knife and utilize it for a lot of different cutting styles. This was the next knife that I collected. This was the Psyop. This is an L-Max. One of the things I really liked, was this finger choil and the blade steel itself. This has a polished satin finish. Just really looks fantastic in the sunlight. I love the color. I love that they had some differences in the back spacer and in this pivot collar. Just gave it a little bit of a panache. Again, with the top liner lock, you can depress this and it lets the blade fall free. Very easy to deploy with the thumb hole. Again, jimping. This also has a front flipper, so you can deploy it in that fashion as well. Very deep pocket clip on this, again with the surface mounted studs. The knife is centered almost perfectly, just beautiful. Has to be one of my favorite knives. I always enjoy showing this off. My friends are like, ooh, let me see that. Porcupine. Watch a lot of YouTube on knife channels, and I saw Metal Complex extolling the virtues of the porcupine, saying it was his favorite EDC. Knew I had to have one. Again, the top liner lock. I added a thumb stud to this. This is not how it comes standard with this thumb stud. I just enjoy the thumb stud deployment, find it a little easier to get a hold of sometimes than the finger hole. You certainly can utilize that finger hole easily. I just wanted to do this. Wire clip. Let's see, a little different method of collecting and capturing this clip on this. Has this little bit of a raised surface to this bolt that's holding that. But in and out of the pocket it does fine. Wonderful blade shape on this. I believe this is in 14C28N. This one has a coated surface. It's kind of like a Cerakoted gray. Just felt this is really a sharp colorway with the blue accents. Just enjoyed the look of this one, and it is very easy and enjoyable to carry. This finger choil here gives you such a great way to choke up on the knife. It's very easy to use to press down on something. Again, with the jimping here and up farther onto the spine of the blade, very easy to cut with. The next knife that I got was the Vosteed Corgi V295. This is an S35VN. Wonderful steel. Again, jimping along the top of the spine here and here. Very easy to choke up on, and you can even use as a pinch grip, to pinch and cut things for fine detail. You'll notice that there is a lot of jimping on the back side of the blade. That allows you to get your finger in there and flick this thing with that. It's just so easy, and it kind of just disappears. Like, you don't have the traditional thumb studs flipper kind of hanging off the back. So that was kind of cool. It does have a front flipper. I'm not great at using a front flipper, but it is there. And again, with the Vancor lock, that depressed lock button in the middle, you can always just flick it out like that. So that is an option as well. This knife is really interesting in that it has no visible screws, especially on the show side. It's just a neat look. It's very durable, this finish. Seems to be very scratch resistant. I don't know exactly what it is, but just a really cool knife to look at. Very smooth in the hand. And it is very grippy. I believe that these are aluminum handles. It feels like aluminum. Super cool. Aluminum handles on the Martin too, which, to go back, revisit this, the milling on this, you really can get a good grip on this. It's very easy to grab hold of. And this one was in 154 cm. I don't think I talked about that. Pretty sure the Vosteed raccoons are all 14C28N. Yeah. And shilling cutter. That's 154 cm. The next knife that I got was the Parallel. I had no idea how thin this knife was until I got it in my hands. Like, it is crazy thin, like to the point that it almost feels awkward in your hands. Again, I have big hands, thick fingers, but this thing is just impossibly thin. Beautiful geometry on the blade. And this thing came out of the box dangerously sharp. I mean, like razor sharp. Normally I'll take a knife out and strop it and kind of, just hone it a bit. This knife really did not need it. This is a numbered knife. I don't know if we'll be able to make that out. Let's see if it'll do it. Don't know if it's going to focus or not. But these are a limited edition, so that's kind of neat. It has this cool topography on the scales. Kind of looks like a topographical map, if you can make that out. Blue backspacer, blue thumb studs. This is a crossbar lock, so you can deploy this knife by just you pulling down on the crossbar lock here and deploying it that way. Just an amazingly thin little knife. It weighs absolutely nothing. This has got to be the lightest knife that I own. And I own some pretty lightweight knives, but this thing is far and away the lightest. And the last thing that I picked up was the new Vosteed Naga. And this thing is a hoss. It's the opposite of the Parallel. I mean, it's pretty much exactly the opposite. It's a heavy boy, it's thick, feels very, substantial in the hand. When I first looked at this, I actually thought it may be another Vancor lock, but then I saw that it had the top liner lock. Again, you can see, as you defeat that liner with the button externally, it allows the knife to, open and close. Great jimping on the back. Not quite as aggressive in texture, but it definitely does the job when you press in. And it's also there on the spine of the knife. You can probably see that is there. This knife is in S35 VN. Very easy to use. This knife took a really sharp edge. Stropped this thing with some polish from Diamond Tech and their stropping compound, and just really turned out to be a nice knife. This is a micarta handle, and the handle itself was one of the things that really drew me into this knife. I just felt like with this Spanish blade style, something about this copper swirl micarta and blue just kind of had a Spanish feel to me when I looked at it, and just had to have it. But this is my Vosteed collection. Just fantastic batch of knives. I really enjoy everything that Vosteed has put out that I have been able to get. Certainly will be buying more of their stuff in the future.